Hey, what's up everybody? Clifton here with CliftonWP. Welcome back to the channel. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to create our own custom layouts using the Kadence Theme Builder capability that's been added to the Elements feature in Kadence Pro. This is a really cool feature because now you can basically customize your blog posts, your category pages, and even your custom post types to look any way that you want and really be able to go beyond what's available to you in the customizer. If you've never built your own custom layouts before, or you want to learn how to be able to use a theme builder capability in a Gutenberg based plugin or theme, let's go ahead and jump right into this tutorial so you can learn just how. All right, let's take a look at what we have available to us to build out our custom layouts. But before we dive in, if you are new to the channel or have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and remember to hit that notification bell so that you are notified when I release new videos like this. If you also like the tutorial when we're done with it, please go ahead and give it a like so that other people can find this tutorial and gain the skills that are taught within this video. All right, so what we have available to us here is the starter template from Kadence. So you can get this from the free starter templates plugin that comes with Kadence. And then the reason I like using this is so that we can have some content to be able to demonstrate our custom layouts capability. If we take a look at what we have in terms of plugins, so just go to the dashboard here and we go to plugins and installed plugins, you will see that I have Kadence blocks installed, both the free version and the Pro extension. But the key ingredient that we need here is going to be Kadence Pro. So this is the premium add-on for the Kadence theme, and what this allows us to do is gain access to the hooked elements feature, which contains the hooked elements feature actually contains what we need for the theme building. So when you take a look at the hooked elements now, you will notice that we have a templates option that wasn't there before. So this template option is what's going to allow us to access the theme building capabilities of Kadence. If you're not seeing this, make sure that you go to Kadence after you've installed the Pro add-on and come down to the Pro add-on section and make sure that the hooked elements is toggled on. Once that's on, then you will then have access to the elements feature in Kadence. Okay, now let's look at what we're going to be customizing. So if we go back to the front end, and by the way, if you want to install the same theme, it's very easy. Just make sure to go to the dashboard, go to appearance, make sure you have the starter templates plugin installed, which is this one right here. And then from the template library here, you can find the real estate option. So that's this one right here. And just go ahead and click on it and click to install the full site. Once you do that, you will then have an exact web page that looks like this. Okay. Now, what are we going to be customizing? We're going to be customizing a few things, actually 3 specific things. First, we're going to go ahead and customize our blog archive. So when you click on the blog, once you've installed this, you'll notice that we have some blog posts here. We're going to customize this archive. Actually, I shouldn't say customize. What I should say is we're going to create our own layout for the archive page. Customizing can already be done through the customizer. And I do want to make a distinction between the difference between customizing a pre-existing layout and building your own layout from scratch, which is what we're going to be doing in this tutorial. So if we go to the customizer, whenever you're doing things in here, so for instance, if we go to blog posts and we click on archive layout, which is what we're looking at, whenever you're making selections, whether it's the design options or the general options here, and you're making selections and you're turning things on and off, what you're doing is you're essentially customizing an already predetermined layout. Okay, we might make some changes here, so we might choose to go full width or narrow width, right? But really what you're doing is you're just selecting options that are available to you and have been predetermined already. That's utilizing the customizer. What we are going to be doing is actually building our entire layout from scratch. So everything that you see here will be determined by us. And that's what the new power of the theme builder in Kadence allows you to do. It basically allows you to build your own layouts for things like the archive page, your headers, your footer, sidebars, your blog post, and your custom post types, it basically allows you to build out those layouts from scratch and be able to assign it to every blog post, individual blog post, or specific categories that you want. Okay, so that's what we're going to be customizing. The second thing we're going to be learning in this tutorial is we're actually going to be learning how to create our own custom post type, and we're going to customize how that post type will display on the front end of our website. Okay, so enough talking about that. Let's go ahead and actually get started with building our first custom layout. Okay, so the first custom layout we're going to be building for is going to be for our blog post. So this is currently how the blog post looks. We're going to basically create a completely custom layout for our blog post, and we're going to do it from scratch. All right, to do that, just go to the dashboard here, go to Appearance, go to Elements, which is under the Kadence option here. Click on Elements, and we're going to click on Add New. When you do that, you'll notice that the new element setup that we have right now includes a fourth option, which is this template option right here. There used to be only 3. Now there is a template option. We're going to go ahead and select that one. Over here on the right side are all the settings for your template. So if we look at the preview settings here, this will allow you to select what you want to preview as you're building out your custom layout. In this case, it's automatically defaulting to posts, but you can actually change it to pages, or if you had a custom post type in here, you could also select that as well. The editor width basically controls the width of the editor as you're building out your custom layout. Let's go ahead and select the post that we want to be seeing as we're doing this. So I'm going to select this one, and we're going to close that. The placement has to do with once this is all built out, this is asking you where do you want this, where do you want to assign this custom layout, right? So you can see here, it can actually replace your header. So you can build a custom header here. You can replace the above content hero, single post content, the archive loop, which is the category pages that you look at when you click on the blog link. And then you can replace the sidebar, footer, and your 404 page content. And then below that are your display settings. And this is where you choose where you want to show this on. So you can show it on the entire site. So you can show it on these specific pages if you want. Or you can show it on all singular pages. You can show it on just posts or category archives. So there's a lot of granular control available to you here in the display settings. And then the rest of this you're used to, so you can exclude from certain areas, and you can also set it up to be visible by user as well. Okay, so now that we understand our element settings, let's go ahead and build out a new custom layout for our blog posts. All right, so just as a reminder, here's what our blog looks like. If you go to the website and you click on the blog, this is the blog archive, and this is what a blog post looks like. All right, so now we're gonna create our own layout and assign it to all the blogs. Okay, so let's go back to the dashboard, and then under Appearance and under the Kadence option, you'll see the elements. Click on Elements, click on Add New, and from the options that come up in the element setup, select Template. And now we are at the editing box or block editor for us to build out our custom layout for the blog. Okay, so let's call our new custom layout for our blogs. We're going to call this Custom Blog Layout. And don't worry, this doesn't show up anywhere on the website. This is just so that we know what this layout applies to in case we create multiple layouts. Okay, so custom blog layout. And then now we're going to start the process of building out what we want our custom layout to look like, right? So we know now that the default layout looks like this. This is what ships with the starter template when you install it. We're going to completely change how this looks, and we're just going to create something simple to replace it. So back here where you're creating your new layout, let's go ahead and start adding some blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and click over here, click on the plus sign and select a row layout. I want a 1-column row, and I'm going to select that row and go to structure settings. And for the content max width, I want that to be inherited from the theme. So that'll put me at about 1290 pixels and center everything nicely for me. And then I want to add a minimum height to this because this is going to be like a featured area. So we're going to add 750 pixels as the height. All right, and the next thing that I want to do is I want to align the contents of this row to be in the middle. So I'm going to align that to the middle. And I'm going to click here on this row again on the plus sign, and I'm going to select another row layout. And this time it's going to be a 2-column row. And now I'm now set to start building out the area here. So one thing that I want to do first definitely is add a color. So I'm going to select my outermost row here, go to the background settings, and we want a dark color. I'm going to just go with a dark charcoal color. So let's just go with 1E, 1E, 1E. All right. And then the next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to start adding our content to this. So all our content is going to be pulled through with dynamic content. Okay, so that's what we need, because we're going to be basically replacing our blog layout. And what we want is we want this layout to apply to all of our blogs. So as I start pulling in that dynamic content, it's going to be showing me an example of what that's going to look like. So on the first column here, we're going to click on the plus sign, select advanced heading, and we're going to go ahead and pull the title. So click on the dynamic content icon right here, open up the drop down and select post title. Click on add dynamic content, and you'll see now that it has pulled in that content for us. Now let's go ahead and style this so we can see it. First thing is I want the color to be white, so that is 6 Fs for a hex code. All right, and then the next thing is I want this to be larger in size, so I'm going to set this to be 75 pixels. So it's nice and big. Okay. The next thing that I want is below this, I want some of my post meta to be in there. So that means I want to show the author and I want to show the post date. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign here within this column, and we're going to add another advanced heading. And let's go ahead and type some text here. So I'm going to say by and space, and then I'm going to pull in some dynamic content for the author. So let's go and find the author field here. Author display name is fine. Click on add dynamic content. It's great. And then I'm going to create a space, and I'm going to do a let's do a vertical slash here, and we're going to say posted on, and another space. And then this time, clicking on the dynamic content icon, we're going to pull in the post date. All right, so now that's done. Now we need to style this so that we can see it and so that it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color, and we want a nice bright color. And then I'm going to also change the size of this. So let's make this size here 18 pixels. And then I want this to be, I don't want it to be bold like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it from an H tag to a paragraph tag, and that looks great already. Okay. Now on the right hand side, I want to be able to pull in the featured image. So again, like I said, this is just a very simple hero area to demonstrate the capabilities of the Kadence Theme Builder here. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, and this time I'm going to pull in an image block. Now Kadence recently just released an advanced image block. They didn't used to have one before. It used to be just the gallery and the image overlay, but now we have an image block that actually allows us to pull in some dynamic content. So this is great. So if you open this up, just go ahead and do a search for advanced image, and you'll see the advanced image block right here. Go ahead and click on that. Okay, so this is new from Kadence. And then over here on the right hand side, click on the dynamic content icon, enable it. All right, and now we're going to find the featured image. So every one of these blogs has a featured image. We're going to go ahead and click on the featured image as the option, and you'll see now it pulls in a nice clean image for us for this specific blog post. Now over here on the right, you do have some styling options. There's lots of great styling options, just like all the blocks that Kadence has typically do. So over here, we want actually on the border settings, I want to add a nice border radius to this. So let's just select a border radius of 8. So all around, so that it softens up our image a little bit, and that's it. We're done. Nice and very simple. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and publish this, and then the next step is for us to assign this to our blog or our blogs. Okay, and the way we do that is you go to the element settings, which is this icon right here. Click on that, and then under placement, we're going to open that up. And what we want to do is we want to replace the above content hero. So that means when we're looking at a blog post, the above content hero is this area right here. This is the above content hero area. The blog post content itself will remain the same because this changes. Basically, it's whatever you've put in using blocks. So this stays the same, but this upper part right here is what we're going to be changing. So we're going to go back to our element here, and we want to replace the above content hero. And then under the display settings here, what we want here is we want this to show up on our blog post only. So we're going to go to single post, select that, and you do have the choice to assign it to a specific category if you want to, or you can actually select blog posts individually, or you can do it by author. In this case, we want to apply it to all of them. So we're going to select all, and that's really it. That's all we really need at this point. Go ahead and click update. And now if we go to our blog and we refresh the screen, you'll see now that the blog has now taken on the layout that we just created. Okay, so now this is how our blogs look. If we go to all the blogs, and no matter which blog we go to, we will see that the layout has been adapted by our all the blogs. Okay, so now with things like this where you see here, hey, man, it's not really looking correct here. That's very, very easy to fix. So all we need to do now is just go back to our element right here, and let's go ahead and add some padding. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and select this outermost block right here. There's a couple of ways to deal with this, but we're gonna do this a simple way. So select the blog, let's open up the settings here, go to padding, and I'm just gonna add 125 pixels to the top of that. Click update, and now when we go back and we refresh the screen, we now see that we have some decent space between our content and the transparent header that we have here. Okay, so this actually looks pretty good. So we've now changed the look and feel of all our blogs. All right, so this is a very simple demonstration, a very rudimentary demonstration of what you can do with the Kadence Theme Builder. You can definitely do a lot more. So up next, what I'm going to be showing you is how to use this to style a custom post type that we will create. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into that aspect of the tutorial right now. Okay, so to fully understand the full power of the Kadence Theme Builder and the template building aspect of it, the best demonstration I can show you is with a custom post type. So for those of you who may not know what a custom post type is, you will definitely know what it is once we are done with this tutorial here. So first thing is, let's look at something on this site. So if we go to the About page, there's a reason why I picked this specific starter template. If you go to the About page and you scroll down, you'll notice that we have these featured agents. So there's a picture and there is a name of them. And when you click on these, they're hyperlinked, right? So meaning they're supposed to go somewhere, but when you click on them, they don't really go anywhere. And so typically, if you're going to build out a page that's going to show your featured agents, and each one is going to have its own page, we could do this a number of ways, right? One way is we could just create a new page, and let's say we call the page William LeBoy here, and we just create a new page and we put his image in there, put his name, and put a little bit of biographical information about him, and that would be his page, and then we would link it to this image right here. So that's one way of doing it. The challenge of doing it that way, though, is that you will then have to create individual pages for each agent here, for each person, okay? Now, one way we could overcome that is we could decide on one layout that applies to all agents, and we can do it with a custom post type, okay? So what is a custom post type? A custom post type is just a type of content. That's all it is. The reason it's called a custom post type, though, is because WordPress actually ships with default post types, meaning the post types that are already there by default, and you're very familiar with what these post types are. So if we go to the back end of WordPress and let's look at what our default post types are. Our default post types are over here in the left-hand menu, and the most popular ones are the posts, which is typically what people use to create blog posts. So that is a post type. The other second or equally popular type of post type is pages. This is another type of content, right? So this is another post type, and by default, for every WordPress install you do, you will get a default post type of posts and default post type of pages. Another post type that a lot of people typically don't associate as a post type is media, right? So here, this is also another type of post. Okay, so now since we're going to be creating an agent's post type, we're going to need to create a custom post type. And that just means this is a post type that doesn't come in WordPress by default. It's something that you actually have to create custom. And that is what a custom post type is. And you'll get a better understanding of this once we start creating the custom post type for agents. Okay, so how do you create a custom post type in WordPress? It's actually very, very easy to do. Now, there's two ways to do it. You could do it by code, and you could basically write code and add it to your functions.php file to create a custom post type. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is by using a plugin, which is what I recommend. It's just a lot quicker, and you get to the end result very quickly. And there are paid and there are free plugins that allow you to create post types. For this tutorial, we're going to be using a free plugin to do it. In a future tutorial, I'll be introducing you to some custom post type plugins that allow you to do a lot more than what's going to be possible with the one we'll use today. But the one we're going to use today is completely free and has everything that we need to be able to create a custom post type very easily. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into that. So you're going to go to plugins and you're going to click on add new, and we're going to do a search for custom post type UI. Okay, so once you do that search, you should see this plugin right here. Go ahead and click on install now and activate. Okay, so now we have that plugin installed. Next, we're going to need a plugin for custom fields so that we can attach custom fields to our custom post type. Okay, so we're going to click on add new, and I want you to do a search for advanced custom fields. Okay, here it is right here. Go ahead and click on install now and activate. Okay, so now we have advanced custom fields, we have custom post type UI. We are now ready to create our custom post type. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the left-hand side where it says CPT UI, click on add, edit post type. So we're going to click add post type. And here we're going to put our post type slug, which is going to be agent. And the plural of that will be agents. And the singular will be agent. Okay. And then we're going to scroll down here for these additional labels. These are just labels that you can add, just like you have here, posts, all posts, right? So we can have all agents, but I like to leave all this blank. You don't need to make any changes here at all. All this is already set by default for you, so you don't need to worry about any of these. And everything looks good. Now, what I want you to do though is when you come all the way down to the bottom right here, we're going to choose an icon for our agent custom post type because it's going to show up over here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a dash icon, and I want to find one for, let's just find one for a user. Let's see if there's an alternate user one. Okay, so this kind of matches too close to the way this looks, and I don't want to do that. So let's use one that's maybe for business. Actually, let's say briefcase or business. There we go. So here's one with a tie. I like that one. So we'll select this. And then right here, it's asking you, what do you want your custom post type to support? So remember, when we look at our posts and pages, they have all these, right? Titles, editor, featured image, excerpts, and so on and so forth. Right? So you can actually choose or turn off which one of these various attributes that you want or don't want. So in this case, I definitely want a title. I don't want the editor. So I'm going to turn that off. I want the featured image, and that's really all I want for this custom post type. Okay. Now, if you choose to have an editor, then you will have the block editor, and you can basically create custom areas within that block. But I don't want the editor in this specific instance because I'm going to use a custom field for my agent bio. So we're going to turn that off. So it's just going to have a title, and it's just going to have a featured image, and that's it. The rest of it, just leave alone and go ahead and click on add post type. All right, so you can see right here it says agent has been successfully added. And if you look over here to the left, you'll now notice that we now have an agent option in our menu here, right? So this is where we can go now and create our agent. So if we look at this right now, if we click on add new, you'll see that all it has is a title, and over here to the right, it has a featured image and nothing else. Okay, this is just fine. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to add some fields for our agents. So agents have different bits of information. There might be a agent number, a phone number, maybe their email, right? You might want to show their email and their biography. So for this purposes of this tutorial, we're going to keep it very, very simple. So I want you to come over here to our advanced custom fields, and we're going to click on add new. And we're going to call this field group our agent fields. Okay, our agent fields. And then over here is where we add our fields, and over here we can select where this is going to apply. So we want to show this field group if the post type is equal to agent. Okay, and let's go ahead and add some fields. So I'm going to click on the first one, and the first field that I want to be able to add here is I want to add an email address. So we're going to say email address. That's the field label. The field name will populate for me automatically. And the field type here is just going to be email. Okay. And we're not going to make anything required in this tutorial, although typically if you're creating this for a client and they're going to be filling this out in the back end, you do want to have some required fields, but we're going to leave that alone. Let's go ahead and add the next field. The next field we're going to add is phone number. So we're just adding fields for our agent. Okay. This field type is going to be, let's make this a text area. Okay. All right. And then the next field that we're going to add is going to be the agent's biography. So let's call this bio. And the text, this is actually going to be a text area this time, so a little bit bigger space. All right. And then the next field that we're going to add here for this agent is we're going to add a title, a position, right? So they could be a listing agent or a buying agent or a concierge, whichever one it is. So we're going to say here, we want to add a position. What kind of agent are they? Okay. And this is going to be text. All right, so this is good for now. So what we're going to go ahead and publish this now. And you can now see all our fields for our agent are pretty much ready for us. Okay, so you can always, you can actually move these around. So you have them in the order that you like. So I like to have here the position, email address, phone number, and bio. Now, another thing that I like to add as well, even though I could use a title for this, is I'm going to go ahead and add their first and last name separately. So let's add two more fields. We're going to add the first field here is going to be the first name of the agent. And it's going to be a text field. And let's add that. And then we're going to add the last name of the agent. There's also going to be a text field. And let's go ahead and update that. Okay. And let's go ahead and move that to the top. So we have first name, last name, position, email, phone number, and bio. Let's go ahead and update this. And now our fields are created. So now when I go back to my agent's custom post type here and I click on add new, I can now see that I have my fields and I have my title and featured image, and I'm now ready to actually create my first agent post type. All right, so using this as a guide here, so we're going to create actually 6 agents. And we're going to create a post for each one of these. Okay, an agent custom post for each one of these people. So let's just start with Alan over here. And we're going to go to here to our agent and click on add new. And this is Alan Duncan. And we're just filling the fields. We'll call him the broker. And we'll just give him any email. And a phone number. And then for the bio, we're going to go to our trusty Lipsum website, lipsum.com, and we're just going to grab some text. And we'll just add that in there a few times. Okay, it's just a custom field. So if we wanted this to be, we could have made this a what you see is what you get, but this is fine because we're just making this very simple. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add a featured image. So we're going to set featured image, and we're going to go from the media library, and we're going to look for that picture of Alan over here. So here it is. And we're going to set that as a featured image, and then click publish. Okay, so now we've created our first post. If we go to all agents, you'll see the agent post right here. Okay, now this is where the theme builder for Kadence will come in handy, because what happens when you create a custom post type is you've just created the mechanism to create the post, but we haven't done anything that will allow us to actually view the post, right? So when you actually go to look at it, you won't see all that information that we just entered because we have not created a theme for it. We have not created a layout for that. And that's where the Kadence Theme Builder is going to come in pretty handy, because now we can then create a layout for our agents. But until you've done that, everything's just going to go to this default layout where it's asking, well, where's the rest of the content? It doesn't see that. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and create all new agents for each one. So here are the agents. I'm going to create another one, and I'm just going to go ahead and create the rest of these. And I'm just going to kind of speed through it so as not to waste your time. Okay, so now I've created all the agents over here. Okay, so we've created all the agents. Now the next thing that we need to do is we want to create a layout for our agents. Now I do want to add one additional custom field. So I'm going to come over here to custom fields, agent fields. I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to click on add new. And this custom field is going to be, whoops, actually, no, this is not what I wanted. Nope, let's go to field groups, agent fields, edit. Here we go. And what I want to do is I want to add an additional field here. So let's click on add field, and this is going to be a banner. We're going to call this a banner. I want to have an image banner for our agents here. And we're going to make this field type. It's going to be an image. Okay, and that looks good. Just go ahead and click on update. All right, and you'll see where that comes into play here in a minute. All right, so now that we've created all our agents, the next thing that we need to do now is we need to create a layout for them, because if you try to look at any of these agents on the front end, you won't see any information. So we need to actually create a layout for these agents. Now there's a couple of ways to be able to create a really awesome layout here, but we're going to actually do it directly in the Kadence Theme Builder. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go to Appearance. We're going to go to Kadence Elements, click on Elements, click on Add New. And we want this to be a template, and we're going to call this Agents Layout Template. Next, let's take care of our actual element settings for this particular layout. So over here, make sure you are on the Elements Setting tab right here. And in this section, click on the Preview Settings, and just make sure that this is set right here. This dynamic preview is set to agents, and we're going to select an agent. Make sure you have one of these selected, and close that. That way, as we're creating our layout, the dynamic content that we're pulling through is actually coming from an actual agent's setup. Okay, now next, the other thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our placement is set up correctly as well. So here on the placements, I want this to replace the single post content. So remember before when we would look at it, there was nothing there except the title. So now we want to make sure that we replace that with what we're going to be building here. And then on the display settings, we want to make sure that this is showing on our single agents, right? So make sure you have that selected. All right, now that that's done, we're now ready to start building out the content for our page. Now, one thing I like to remind you is it's always better before you start building out the layout for any kind of custom post type that you're using to make sure that all the fields that you need are completed. So for instance, if I go over here to agents, and remember when we created all those custom fields using advanced custom fields. So if we go to advanced custom fields and we look at the agent fields here, these are all the fields that are associated with our agent post type. So if I go to agents, all agents, and I click on any one of these agents to edit, I can see all the fields here, right? So you want to make sure that these are all completed and that they all have content in them. So there's even a banner field here, and I have the banner already added to every agent. So once that's really nicely completed, then you can actually start building out your layout, and you'll have a better preview experience with building out that layout. So let's go back to building out our layout here. So here we are. Now we're going to start laying this out. So first we're going to add a row layout right here at the very top. So I'm going to select a row layout block, and I want one column for that row layout. I'm going to go ahead and select it and move over to the settings for that by clicking on the cogwheel. I'm going to go to structure settings, and I want the minimum height on this to be 600 pixels. And then I want the content max width to inherit from the theme. So we're going to pull that in a little bit. That's going to be about 1290 pixels. And then right over here, I want the content of this to actually align to the middle. So I'm going to select the alignment icon here and click on align middle, and now it's right in the middle. Next, I'm going to start adding the content to this area right here, starting with the background for the row. So we're going to select that row. We're going to go to background settings, and we're going to click on the dynamic content icon here. Enable the dynamic background image, and we want to use the banner, which is a custom field. We want to use that for this background. So I'm going to come over here and open up the drop down. I'm going to select post custom field. I'm going to make sure the image source says current post, and the custom field that we want is the banner. So select that, and you'll see that it immediately pulls in the banner for the agent that we selected as a preview. Okay. Next, what I'd like to do is I'd like to add an overlay to this, because we're going to put some text over this, and I want to be able to see the text. So select that row again, go to the background overlay settings, and over here we want a dark color. So I'm going to select this color right here, and I'm going to make it a little bit darker. So let's up it to about 50% opacity. And then we can now go ahead and add our text here. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, and we want an advanced heading. I'm going to go ahead and center that heading, and we want the color of that heading to be white. So remember, that's just 6 Fs for the hex code. And then we're going to use our dynamic content icon here to pull in the title, the post title, and add dynamic content. And you see here it's pulled in the name of this specific agent. Okay. Next, we're going to click on the plus sign right underneath that, add another advanced heading. We're going to go ahead and center it. We're going to change this color also to white. Okay. And we're going to use dynamic content, and we want to pull in the position for Alan at this firm, right? So he's the broker at the firm, so we're going to pull in his position. So we're going to come here, post custom field is what we want to select, and the custom field that we want is the position. Okay. And add dynamic content. So now that's in there, and I want this to be a little bit smaller than that is. So I'm going to go over here to the typography settings, and we're going to set this to 28 pixels. Okay. All right. So now this section is done. Next, let's build out the next section. So the next section is going to contain the featured image, which is going to be Alan's picture, and then his bio and his contact information. So we're just going to make this very simple. Just go ahead and select a spot right outside of the initial row we created here. Click on the plus sign. We're going to do a row layout. We want a single column row, and within this row we're going to add a 2-column row. So just click on the plus sign again, select row layout, and add a 2-column row. All right, then the next thing that we want to do here is we want to bring this in a little bit. So select that outer row, go to your structure settings, and we're going to set the content max width to inherit from theme, which will bring everything together like this. Now, right now we have a 50-50 row on this inside row. So let's select that, a 50-50 division here on the columns, I actually want the left column to be a little bit more narrow than the right column. So you can either do that by just dragging this left and right if you want, or you can come over here and select the preset that will give you that setup already. Okay, so I kind of want it to be like that. That way the image is over here and the bio content is over here. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding the content. So I'm going to click on the plus sign here. And what I'm looking for on this one is the advanced image, which is newly released from Kadence, new block in Kadence blocks. So we're going to click on the advanced image. And then over here on the right, you're going to see the dynamic content icon. Go ahead and select that. Enable dynamic image for this one, and we're going to be pulling from the featured image this time. So just go ahead and click on featured image, and it pulls in his image, which is already stored in the post that we created for him. Okay, so now that we have that in place, let's style our image here a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and select this image. I'm going to come over here to the right. And what we want to do here is for the spacing settings, I want this image to overlap the heading, the featured area right here. So we're going to add a margin to it. And let's just set a margin of -100 pixels. Okay, so we have a nice little overlap happening right there. And then I also want there to be some shadow settings. So I'm going to set a box shadow here. And we're going to set this to 44. Okay, it's a very subtle shadow. Whoops. Okay, so you can see it right there. It's really subtle, and that's plenty. All right, and in looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, I may want the image to be actually a little bit smaller as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select my this area right here, and I'm just going to drag this over until I'm satisfied with the size. So let's keep it at 25%, 75%. Okay, so now that looks a lot better. Okay, and then next we want to add some contact information below this image. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that section, click on the plus sign. I'm going to add an advanced heading. We're going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. So let's make this 18 pixels. Let's go ahead and center it to the center. And then we're going to use dynamic content. And before we do that, let's go ahead and label this. So I'm going to say this is phone. And now I can use my dynamic content to pull in the phone custom field. So I'm going to come over here. We want the post custom field. And the field we're looking for is phone number. Add dynamic content. Okay, that looks good. Next, another plus sign, another advanced heading. We're going to set up the same settings, 18 pixels for the typography. We're going to label this email. Okay, I want it centered. And we're going to use dynamic content to pull in the custom post field, the post custom field. And we will assign the email address to that right there. Okay, so now it looks pretty good. All right, now the other thing that I want to do here now is I want to pull in the bio. So before we do that, let's go ahead and title this. So click a plus sign and let's add the advanced heading. We will type about space. Let's go ahead and reduce the size of that. So let's make that 36. And using the dynamic content, we're going to pull in the first name, which is a post custom field. And let's just pull in the first name. All right. And then next we need to pull in the bio. So I'm going to click on the plus sign right here. Again, advanced heading. We're going to change this from a H tag to the paragraph tag. And then we're going to pull in the dynamic content of the bio. So we want the post custom field. And we are looking for bio. Add. All right, so here it is right here. Okay. And this looks good so far. So now we just need to do some spacing work so that this looks really nice. And then we are pretty much set with creating our agent page. So let's go ahead and select this section right here. I'm going to go over here to the link tree to make it easier on myself. Select the section. Come over here to the padding, and I'm going to add some padding of 60 pixels all around. All right, there's some nice spacing right there. Okay, good. I think we are ready. So I'm going to go ahead and update this. All right, and the next thing I need to do is just make sure, double check that it is actually assigned to the agents, and it is. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm now going to go back out here to my agents and take a look at how this looks. So I'm going to click on View Agent, and now we can see our agent page here, right? So this is the layout that's now assigned to every single one of the agents that we've created in our website. Now, I know this looks strange, right? So there's a couple of issues with the page right now. The transparent header, or the header, first of all, it doesn't look very visible. And also this is kind of boxed in, so it doesn't look like what we were building when we were building it in the template, in the theme builder. But that's okay. That's just because we have not actually set this up using the customizer in Kadence. See, whenever you create a custom post type in Kadence, what it does is it just assigns the default layouts to that custom post type. So now we can now go in to the customizer here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Customize. And what you'll notice is right here where it says Custom Post Types, there is now an agent's layout and an agent's archive layout. So for every custom post type you create in Kadence, it will add that custom post type over here and create settings for it so that you can go ahead and customize how this looks. So there's a couple of things that we need to set up here correctly. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go to the header, okay? And because our website is using a transparent header, we're going to go ahead and select transparent header. And you can see here that it is disabled on agents. So by default, your custom post types are going to have the transparent header disabled. So we're going to have to go ahead and toggle that off so that the transparent header can go ahead and apply. So now you can see here it's now applying to our agent post here. So next, we need to go to custom post types, go to your agent layout. And over here, we're not really using the title from the theme here, so we're going to go ahead and turn that off. And then on the agent's layout, we're going to set this to a full width layout. Okay, and that's really all we need to do here. So if this were enabled, we go ahead and disable it. Publish that, and now when you take a look at the layout that you've created, so the custom layout for our agents, you'll see now that it now looks very, very presentable, right? So we have our image right here, contact information, bio information, and their name. And this layout now applies to every agent that you have. So if we go to all our agents and we just pick a different agent, let's look at William over here. And you will see he has his own banner that's assigned to him in his own post, and we have his own image and his own bio. Okay, so it's just a great way to utilize the theme builder to theme out any custom post type that you build. All right, so now the next question becomes, well, what about the archive page, right? Sort of like the blog. When you go to the blog, we have an archive page for the blog, but we don't have an archive page for our agents. And remember that we were building this based on what we saw over here, right? So we had these featured agents, and we want there to be an archive, kind of like this. And that way, when you click on this archive, it should take you to that agent page, all right? So the next step for us here now is to basically create an archive for our agents. And that's what we're going to go ahead and do next. But first, our agents have to have an archive in the first place. So we need to go ahead and create that. So let's go back to your dashboard, and we're going to go back to our here to our CPT UI, so our custom post type UI that we use to create our post types. And if you notice, when we created the agents, we didn't create any kind of taxonomy for them or any kind of archive. So now we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to come over here to CPT UI, and instead of add a post type, we're going to add a taxonomy. Taxonomy is just another word for category. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to call this agent type. So agent type. And the plural for this will be agent types. Now remember, we're creating a taxonomy on this one. This is not a post type. And the singular will be agent type. All right, and you can see right here where it's asking you, where do you want to attach this taxonomy? Where do you want to attach these categories? We want to attach it to agents, okay? And then when we scroll down here, there are some settings that have to do with the labels. We're just going to go ahead and leave those at the default, but there is something that we need to change over here. And that's right over here where it says hierarchical. So whenever you have categories or taxonomy, there are two ways taxonomies show up. They can show up as tags, where you're just selecting tags, or they can show up as parents, where you can have a category and a subcategory and a child category and so on. So right now this is set up to be sort of like tags. We don't want that. We actually want this to be set up hierarchical so that we can have subcategories if we want to. So we're going to set that to true, and then leave everything else the way that it is right now and click on Add Taxonomy. All right, so we can see here that the agent type has been successfully added. Now when we hover over the agents, we can now see that we have an agent type set up right here. So go ahead and click on that agent type, and we're going to put the types of agents that we have. So let's say we have listing agents, which are agents that sell properties. These are the agents that can help you sell your property. And then we're also going to put over here buying agents. These are the type of agents that help you buy properties. All right, so now we've created two categories for agents. Next, what we want to do here is let's just create a general box for all agents, right? So let's just call it real estate agents. And we'll add that there. Okay, great. So now we can now go to all our agents here. All right, and we can go ahead and edit them. So let's do some of them as listing agents and some of them as buying agents. So first, they're all going to be real estate agents. But let's say Paul over here is going to be a listing agent. Let's update him. And we'll go back to the other ones. And we'll do the same thing for Marcia. So you can see by creating that taxonomy now, we now have this new box here where we can select the type of agent that the person is. All right, so I think we have enough listing agents. Let's make the last three buying agents. So real estate agent, buying agents. All right, so now everything's all created. So now if we were to go to all our agent types, for instance, and we look over here, let's look at all this real estate agents right here, and we were to try to view this, I want you to see what happens when you view it. So when we view it, you see how it kind of sets it up as the default archive layout, right? It's setting it up as a default archive layout. The default archive layout says we should have a featured image, the title of the post, and a read more. Okay, so even though this looks a little bit presentable, this isn't what we want to use. Okay, we want to create our own real estate agents section right here. So I'm going to show you a really clean way to be able to do it in this specific template. But of course, you can create anything that you want, but I'll show you a really clean way of doing it. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to create our own. Okay, so let's go to our dashboard. We're going to go to Appearance. We're going to go to Kadence and Elements, and what we're going to do is click on Add New. And we want to create a template. We're going to title this Agent Archive Layout. So we can create our own agent archive layout for our agent custom post type. All right, so now that we've set that up, over here on the right, the element settings, let's set up our preview settings. So the preview settings for this is going to be set to agents. We're going to select a preview post. So let's select Paul over here. And then the editor width, I want the editor width to be, let's make this 400 pixels. And you'll see why I'm doing this right now. The reason why, of course, is because when you're creating the archive layout, you really are creating the first or just one instance of what's going to be repeating, right? So if I go to this blog, for instance, this is one instance of each blog repeating, right? And creating like 3 columns over here. So we really need to create only one, and then Kadence will take care of the rest. So let's go back here and you'll see what I mean. So now that we have this set up, let's also make sure to set up our placement. So for the placement, we want this to be to replace our archive loop item content. And then we want the display to be on our agent type archives. Okay. And that's all set now. So let's go ahead and publish this so we can save those changes. And now we can start building out the custom agent archive layout. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on the plus sign. And what I want is a row layout. We're going to just do one column. And inside of that column, we just want the image for we want an image for the agent. So we're going to click on advanced image. And over here on the right, make sure you have the settings wheel selected. We're going to select the dynamic content icon. We're going to enable a dynamic image here. And the image we're going to be using is the featured image. All right. So this is the featured image for Paul. All right. That's easy enough, right? And then next here, right below that, we're going to go ahead and add a title for him. So let's go ahead and let's add his name. So go to advanced heading. And let's make this a little smaller. So I'm going to make this 30 pixels. And we're going to go ahead and center that. And now that that's centered, let's go ahead and pull in his name. That's going to be the post title, add dynamic content. All right, great, right? So we've now pulled in his name. We use the dynamic content icon here. And we selected the post title, and that's why that's pulling that in right like that. The next thing that I want to do is I want this to overlay the image. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is just go ahead and select, make sure you have that the heading selected, and then on the right here, we're going to go to spacing settings, and we're going to do margin, and we're going to do a negative margin of, let's say, 150 pixels. All right, so now we can kind of see that it's now overlaying the image. Maybe that's going a little bit too high, so why don't we go ahead and take off 50 pixels and just make it 100. All right, that looks pretty good. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab the color, and we're going to set this to a lighter color so we can see the name. And another really good way to make this pop is if you select the advanced heading and you come over here to the text shadow settings, just go ahead and toggle that on, and with it on, we can go ahead and sort of increase the darkness here on it. Let's see right there, and you can start seeing that it makes it a little bit more prominent. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we have the name there. Now, what if actually, that looks pretty good. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and update this. And let's just take a look at what this looks like so far, okay? So in another tab right here, let's just go back to this tab. I'm going to come over here to the dashboard, and we're going to go to Agents, Agent Type. And let's look at Real Estate Agents, all Real Estate Agents. So you can kind of see what's happened here, right? So now you can kind of get an idea. Now the layout, now a nice simple layout for our agents. Now here's something that you might notice. Clicking on this does not take us to each person's page, right? So we just created the archive, but we didn't link it. So now let's go ahead and link it. Now that we can see that this actually looks good and we like the way it looks, let's go ahead and link this. So I'm going to come over here to the element that I was editing, and I'm going to select the image itself right there. I'm going to go over here to the right, and right over here we have link settings. If you open up the link settings, you will see that there's a dynamic content icon for a dynamic link. We're going to go ahead and select that, and we're going to enable dynamic link. And the link here, we want the link to link to the post URL, okay, for the current post. And that's really all we need to do. We can go ahead and update this now. And if we go back and we refresh, now we can see that this actually links, right? So each one links to its own, oh, this one's really nice. Links to its respective agent, okay? All right, so now we have all our real estate agents here. Now, what if you don't like the way this looks up here, right? What if you actually want a different setup for the top here, Okay, well, that's very, very easy to rectify. I'm sure you guys have already guessed how you can make that work. Also, I noticed that the coloring back here is a little bit of an off color. So what can we actually do with this? Well, just like we were able to make changes to the individual post itself, you can actually also make changes to the category archive page through the customizer now. So if we go to the customizer and we go over to custom post types, agent archive, now we can make some changes here if we want, right? You can actually hide the top there if you want to. Of course, we don't want to do that right now. You can change the background. You can even create a custom background as well using the theme builder. Okay, but for now, let's just focus on how this looks. So one of the things we can do, we can come over here now and we can start applying different layouts to this, right? So right now it's boxed. We can say we want it to be unboxed if we want, but we'll keep it boxed. You can actually change how many columns. So maybe if I wanted 2 columns, right? Or 4 columns. Okay, so you can set that up that way. I think 3 columns is the best layout so far. Okay, and then what about up here? What if we want to change how this looks up here? Okay, so you can actually do that from here. Just go to the design settings, and you can see the archive title background right here. And if you were to click on this, we can choose an image and select any image that we want. So let's say we wanted this image, and you can see now the image is changed. Okay, so all the options that are available to you in the customizer are now for your regular archive pages is now available to you as well for your custom post types. Okay, all right, so what else can we do over here to make this look a little bit more presentable? Okay, what else can we do to make it a little bit more presentable? Well, we can create kind of our own hero area for this. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll wrap up this tutorial. So I'm going to click publish over here, close that out, and let's go ahead and go to the dashboard, appearance, elements, add new. All right, and this time, instead of selecting template, this time we're going to select content section. Okay, so this is not going to be a template. This is a content section that we're going to add to our category section to just make it a little bit more stylish. So we're going to call this our agent archive hero section. All right, great. And then for our preview settings here, we're just going to use agents there, and we can just choose one of these. Okay, so for placement, actually what we want this to be, we want this to be after the header. Okay, so after header, the display settings, we want this to show up on agent type archives. Okay, and we want it to happen on all of them. All right, that looks good. So go ahead and publish that. And now we're ready to start building out the section. So let's go ahead and hit up the settings over here. Click on the plus sign. We're going to do a row layout. And for that row, we want a single column row. I'm going to select the row itself. And I'm going to come over here to structure settings. And I want to give it a minimum height of 500 pixels. And the inside right here, we're going to actually set a custom one this time, and let's just set that up to be 800 pixels. Okay, and then the background, actually the alignment, let's set up the alignment to align to the middle like that. And then the background, we're actually going to use an actual background image in this case. So this isn't going to be a dynamic piece of content. This would just be a regular background image. And for that one, we're going to use this one right here. Okay, and then let's give it an overlay. So overlay settings, let's select a really dark color, and let's increase this to 50% opacity. Okay. All right, and then here we're going to put the archive title here. So the plus sign, we're going to click on the plus sign right here and select an advanced heading. We want the color of that heading to be a light color, like white. And let's go ahead and center that to the center. And then we're going to use the dynamic content here to pull in. And what we want here, what we want to pull in here is we want the archive title. Okay, so next here, we're going to go ahead and add another heading. And this heading will say our agents are here to serve. Okay, we're going to go ahead and center that. Change the color to white. Then grab this typography settings and we'll make this 20 pixels. Actually, let's make it 24 so it's easier to see. All right, so now that looks pretty good. And then the next thing we're going to do here is let's go ahead and make sure there's enough spacing in here. So I'm going to select the row right here. I'm going to come over to the padding and margin, and we're going to add an additional 100 pixels. Whoops, 100 pixels, so make it 125 pixels total of padding. We'll leave this at 25 pixels. And then update. Awesome. So now when we check out our agents archive page now, so if I go over here to agents, agent types, and we view it, we can now see that our heading is now there, right? Our custom section has now been created. We can also see that the default one that comes from the theme is also there. So all we need to do is shut this off. So if we go to the customizer, go to custom post types, agent archive, and we're going to turn off the archive title. And now our title is in place. All right, and so now we have our own hero area, which is significantly more flexible than the one that comes in the default template, right? So now we can really add anything that we want here. So, I mean, why would you want to use your own custom header area in your archive section? Because then you can add anything that you want here. So for instance, I can now go back right over here, and let's go ahead and just add some spacing to this right here. So I'm gonna come over here, spacing, and let's just add about 20 pixels to the top. Okay, so now I can add maybe a call to action if I want to, right? So I can click on the plus sign and I can say, hey, let's go ahead and add a button. So I'm gonna click on search for button, add the advanced button. And maybe this button can now say, call an agent today, right? Or contact. Maybe it's better to say contact an agent. So this is now giving me the ability to be able to really leverage the space and use it to better serve the user of the site. So here we are, and now I can go ahead and I can select that I want to use the theme styles for that, and then let's go ahead and add some spacing to that as well. So about 20 pixels on the bottom, and that's done. Click update, and then when we go to our real estate agents, if I refresh the screen, we now have a button right there. Okay, and this is now our archive page. So what do the other archives look like, right? So we can come over here and let's go to our menus. And what we're going to do here is open up your screen options. And we're going to select some additional options here. So let's put in agent types, and that'll give us the agent type options right here. Open this up, and then let's just add all these to our menu. Okay, the real estate agents, the top level menu item, and then the rest of them will be drop downs. Okay, let's go ahead and save that menu. All right, and now when we go back to the front end of the website, oh, whoops, sorry. Let's go back here for a minute. Appearance, menus. Make sure that this is assigned to the primary menu right here, like that. And now we can save it. And now our menu looks correct. Okay, so now we look at real estate agents. You can see we have listing agents and buying agents. So this is the one we've been looking at right over here. But if we also go to listing agents, this is listing agents, and it shows only the listing agents. And if we go to buying agents, These are our buying agents. And if we just go to real estate agents in general, we see all the agents, and in all of them, we have our real estate agents listed here. And each one of these can even have their own different heading area if we wanted, right? We can actually assign different hero areas to each archive page, and clicking through to any one of these will take you to the information for that specific agent. Okay, so as you can see with the theme builder and the elements feature of Kadence, the possibilities are endless in terms of what you can do. So this is a custom post type that we customize. I've also showed you how to use it on your regular blogs. You can also use it on your regular blog categories and archives. And so with that, we are going to end it here. I hope you learned a lot from this tutorial that you can use in your own projects and in your own websites. Hey, if you like this tutorial, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe so that you can get notified when I release new videos like this. We're going to be covering some other tools that we can use with custom post types and building out more complex type websites with Kadence. And if you want to be the first one to know when those videos drop, then make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. For those of you who have subscribed, hey, thank you very much. If you have any questions about anything that you have seen today, please go ahead and drop that in the comments below. I do read the comments and I will respond and try to help you as best as I can. Once again, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next